a healthy Lakers team, Greeny, once the playoffs start, would be trouble for the top of the Western Conference. I'm clearly not saying that they can compete with the Phoenix Suns. I think they're the overall best team in basketball. Once the Golden State Warriors get healthy, they'll fall into that conversation as well. But then when I start to look at Memphis, who's outplayed many of our expectations, they're a younger team. And if they started a playoff series against the Lakers, Los Angeles would have two of the best three players in the series. Obviously, John Moran of the Memphis Grizzlies is the other guy. Mm-hmm. And so that gives you a chance. And so based on that, that's why LeBron can have a 56-point game and then miss the next game because he's playing for the marathon at this point.
And so let's turn this into a little edition of NBA Countdown, if I can, with Legler here. So we have talked so much all year long about Russell Westbrook and where he fits into all of this. What is the right way? Because they should have three superstars on that team, at least by the names. And Westbrook clearly hasn't played that way. So Legler, you're the coach. How would you utilize Russell Westbrook down the stretch and into the playoffs to make him an additive and someone who can help them pull off what would be a big surprise?
I don't think it's necessarily bring him off the bench because I don't know that he would mentally accept it. And now you're running a risk that you're bringing something else into this equation that really gives you no chance. So listen, knowing that he's going to start the game, start the third quarter, and finish the game with LeBron James, that's about 15, 16 minutes probably. What about those other minutes? And I saw a sample of it on Saturday. I thought Frank Vogel did a nice job of getting LeBron out of the game when Westbrook then was given the ball. It was his show. And the first time it happened, the next three trips, he put his head down, he went to the rim, he got to the hole. He looked like Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City. True to himself as a player, he felt empowered. It was his team, his unit. So you've got to find those 12 to 15 minutes a night where he's out there when LeBron's getting rest to allow him to go be the alpha. But there's no way around the fact that you're still going to have him on the floor for long stretches with LeBron, and particularly when you close games with a guy that doesn't really space it playing off of LeBron or AD. That's still going to be a problem for them.
And they don't have the kind of depth that they will be able to go a full second unit and all that. But, you know, Jalen, our buddy Mr. Wilbon constantly brings up that in the heyday of Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, they would start and finish the game together. But then they would play long stretches apart from each other on the floor. He always wanted to have one or the other on the floor. And Scottie would play a lot of time with the second unit. And it worked pretty well. They won 6 championships doing that. So, Jalen, does that feel like the option for them here? If they do that, what is the ceiling? What can the Lakers still accomplish through what has been a really disappointing year?
Greeny Legs is right. You have to stagger the minutes, and you got to allow Russell Westbrook to be the primary ball handler. That's the key. Russell is a rhythm player, and he's best when he's going downhill, attacking in the paint. Clearly, when LeBron's in the game, he's going to be more of a spot-up player and a secondary ball handler. And late in games, Russell has to find a way to be a mover, a cutter, and somebody that's giving up good shots to get great shots. You understand and anticipate when the ball may get swung to you. And if you're Tim Legler and you're shooting over 52%, then you spot up and you knock it down. But if you Russell Westbrook and you see that ball coming to you, you got to start running towards the basket immediately. You can't get stuck with that shot and continue to play with the pace. And again, Greeny, like I said, for the Lakers, LeBron James has been dominant at points this year. Anthony Davis is a top 10 talent in the league. Russell Westbrook still had 20 points in the previous game. He's going to play hard. He's going to play with effort. And so having him engaged and having him in a position to be at his best at times when LeBron isn't in the game does give the Lakers an opportunity later in the season, depending on matchups, to be a long out for any team in the playoffs.
It's remarkable. I mean, you see it on your screen. They're 8 games under 500, and much like Brooklyn in the East, where, you know, they're hovering down there near the bottom of the standings, but they both still feel like threats. Julian, do I have a second to get to the Sixers here? Because I haven't gotten Jalen on this. For those who are just joining us, the Sixers, when they made those first 3 games that they had Harden and Embiid together, a lot of people said, well, it's just the Knicks and all the rest of that. Now they go out and they really look dominant in a performance against one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference in the Chicago Bulls last night. For those just joining us, Legler, what do we say about the Sixers? Eastern Conference, Miami's been great, et cetera. What are the Sixers right now in the East?
I think there's 5 teams in the conversation, and I think their ceiling is the highest because I just think this is the most unique, dominant offensive combination that we have in the league because they can beat you on every platform there is, from deep, mid-range, at the rim, at the line. They control the game unlike any other combination of players. Now, they're going to have to play their best in some big moments when they get into the playoffs, and that's a legitimate question about these particular guys, because you could go through their playoff history and say there's been moments they needed to be better for their team. So that's there. They have to answer that without question. But when you just look at how difficult it is to have the personnel and the scheme and the depth to be able to deal with these two guys and beating you up physically the way that they do, to me, this is the highest ceiling in the East. So,
Jalen, you have been on Milwaukee's bandwagon much of the year. You can always telling us not to forget about them, and I know you like what Brooklyn can be. So what are the Sixers coming off last night?
They are not the team to beat in the East. The Milwaukee Bucks are. You just said it. And they're hitting their stride at the right time. Just recently, their big three had 25 each for the first time all season. Just the other night, Drew Holiday had 16 points in the fourth quarter. Chris Middleton had 17 points in the fourth quarter and had 46 points. And Giannis fouled out that game. Bobby Portis is giving them quality minutes up front. They added Serge Ibaka. They hope to get Brook Lopez back into the lineup as well. And again, the East has been a revolving door. And the Miami Heat also. Tyler Hero had a big game yesterday. They just brought back Victor Oladipo. There's something to be said for chemistry and for depth. And both of those teams have won the East recently. Miami 2 years ago, the Bucks last year. So I want to give those two teams the pole position over Philadelphia, but I'll have them right behind those squads right now.
And very quickly, you didn't even mention the Nets. I got 30 seconds. Are the Nets even in that conversation or not?
No, the Nets can't be in that conversation. They're barely in the playoffs. They're going to have to win 2 games to get in the playoffs, to get possibly eliminated in the first round. We're not talking about them just yet.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.